shot. Better watch out, cause the cops hot. We shoot shots if we see the eye. You can't ball if you ain't got no hustle. I get my grind on, fuck the struggle.
What's up, sports fans? It's your man D back. Speak Your Mind Sports Talk. Check it out. I want to talk about the return of Paul George. For the love of sports, let's talk about it.
It happens, niggas want me to talk about it. They love gossip, want me to talk about it. It's all over the gram, so I'ma talk about it. You heard what happened? Niggas want me to talk about it. Shit crazy, niggas want me to talk about it. You heard what happened? Niggas want me to talk about it. Shit happens, niggas want me to talk about it. They love gossip, want me to talk about it. It's all over the gram, so I'ma talk about it. You heard what happened? Niggas want me to talk about it. Shit crazy, niggas want me to talk about it. You heard what happened? Niggas want me to talk about it. Shit happens, niggas want me to talk about it.
All right, guys, so Paul George is back, and I mean, he is back. Paul George came in, and since his return, his first 2 games, the man has scored 70. I say again, 70 points. We already know that Paul George is one of the top 3 or 4 defenders in the league. So he's a two-way player. But to add that offensive prowess to the game, with the defense that he offers, man, this means a whole lot for the Clippers. And he's coming back lightning speed. Paul George offers something that Kawhi Leonard, can do. Kawhi can shoot the 3. But Paul George is clearly a better 3-point shooter than Kawhi Leonard. Now, when we talk about the 2 players, I put Kawhi Leonard over Paul George. I will say that. But he's just not the 3-point shooter that Paul George is. And, I wouldn't necessarily say that he's the scorer that Paul George is, the offensive scoring ability that Paul George has. We know that Kawhi Leonard can definitely take off and have a terrific offensive game. He's shown us this time and time again. And I'm not comparing the 2 as far as who's the better player, but more or less the return of Paul George is what we're talking about here. Paul George has always been a good player. He's been solid since he's been in the league. He was the man over there in Indiana, was no question about that. In my opinion, when he was traded to OKC, he was still the man. Of course, Russell Westbrook is Russell Westbrook, and he had the triple doubles back-to-back season, which has never been done, back-to-back, so that was awesome. And it was sort of a 2-man show. I wouldn't say alpha or beta between the 2 guys. It was a 2-man show. But now he's playing with Kawhi Leonard, so he's definitely the beta. He's definitely the second guy. Kawhi Leonard is arguably the best player in the league. But Paul George is looking outstanding, man. He wasn't really too pleased with his first game, but he's humble. Because you come in off injury and you score 33 points, man, it's nothing to hang your head about. And then you come right back the next game and score 37 points. That's a total of 70 points in 2 games, guys. When you talk about a guy like Kawhi being on that team and Lou Williams coming off the bench, Montrezl Harrell is playing lights out. Shamet is hurt, but all prayers to Shamet. But that's a pretty deep team. They have a great bench, terrific starting cast. Patrick Beverly, hell of a defender. Paul George is going to bring a lot. They just beat the holy hell out of the Hawks. 150 points they scored in that game. And, I just think that Paul George is phenomenal. And I'm so excited to see these games that the Clippers put up. I want to see them get in there with some of the better teams with both those guys on the floor, Kawhi and Paul, and see how they perform. I'm not necessarily into all this minute restriction nonsense for any of them. You know, a lot of guys are making excuses. Well, they need to take a rest. You can't be playing all of this and then talk about going into the postseason. And to me, that's just total nonsense. Because the greats have done it. The guys in the top 10 of all time, they've done it. Was no minute restriction. You know, maybe we can say that about Tim Duncan. But that was something that Greg Popovich was doing. I don't really believe it had to do with Tim Duncan. But when you look at the other 9 guys, that Tim Duncan, I have him in my top 10. But you look at the other 9 guys, and there's no excuses for that. You know, Michael Jordan, no excuse. He was in there 82 games. He played with the flu, scored 30-something points, 36, I believe. You know, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas playing on, you know, fractured and twisted ankles and such, you know. Larry Bird playing with back spasms, still playing. And these new age guys think they have to have minute restrictions. You look at Giannis Antetokounmpo and LeBron James of this new age era, Russell Westbrook. These guys are not calling for no damn minute restrictions, man. And so that's a knock on Kawhi, if you ask me. But he's still a talent, and I'm not knocking his talent. And like I said, arguably the best player in the game. I just don't agree with this minute restriction. Paul George, when he was in Indiana, this guy played. He wasn't, you know, calling for, oh, let me sit out this game and let me sit out this game. Paul George is going to be there, and he's showing that he's going to be there and he's going to be effective. And I like what I see in Paul George. You know, hopefully he can stay healthy because he's another injury-prone player. And this is why we can't lock any teams in. And, you know, on paper they look terrific. What Paul George and Kawhi and Shamet and Montrez and Lou Williams are doing, they look terrific. But these guys have to stay healthy. You know, Lou Williams, as good as he is, he's in his 30s and he's getting up there. But I expect big things from the Clippers. Definitely going to be one of the top 3 seeded teams going into the playoffs, in my opinion. Excuse me, guys. You know, barring no injuries or such. But I just wanted to drop this video real quick on Paul George. And, you know, I'm really impressed with what I see. And you guys let me know what you think about the return of Paul George down in the comment section. And hit that subscribe and that bell icon next to it so you know when I drop these videos. And hit that like on your way in or out. And for the love of sports, let's talk about it. Peace.
Shit happens, niggas want me to talk about it. They love gossip, want me to talk about it. It's all over the gram, so I'ma talk about it. You heard what happened?